We're talking about boxing already.
We always get right into it.
That's what he said.
Yeah, I guess that would be the right way to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, well, maybe not all ages. This is episode 77, Weighing In with Travis Hartman. I am B-Money, the producer. That over there is Weekend Trav, as per usual, looking good. Got the Weekend Trav attire, got the cigar in the mouth, got the Soda Stream water in front of him. You look good and comfortable and relaxed. What's going on, Weekend Trav?
I got the new shirt. I feel pretty relaxed, but I feel relaxed yet super busy and like running around with like a chicken with my head cut off. That's what I feel like. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm just like, bam, bam, bam. Something's been going on literally every minute of every hour for like the last like week. It feels like.
So fun fact, because when you do actually just cut the head of a chicken off, it does run around because the nerve endings are doing its thing. That's why they say what you have to do is grab the chicken by the neck and swing it around in order to kill it.
Yeah.
Before you I learned that by watching The Office.
Well, I'm from the country,
yeah.
So us country boys, we knew how to do all that because I'm from Missouri.
So you're choking chickens a lot and swinging around?
But I only choke my chickens.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I don't choke other people's chickens.
No.
Because I don't get down like that.
No. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, Weekend Trav. The train's already off the rails. But we are off the heels of the big heavyweight matchup with Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. We also have this weekend a couple of big-time fights, one specifically at Madison Square Garden. We'll get to that in a few moments. But we did want to break down this heavyweight matchup between Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte that happened out there at Wembley Stadium in the UK. Before I do, we thank our subscribers, our followers. We appreciate all the feedback and support you all continue to give us. It makes what we do here a bit easier, and we enjoy doing this anyway, spending time with one another, but we also enjoy entertaining, because this is more than just a podcast, Weekend Trav.
It's the entertainment business.
This is the entertainment business. This is the show. This is an extravaganza.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
We're getting more and more views. We're getting ones of more followers.
Wow. Yeah, we're cranking on all cylinders.
I think it's all because of our new studio. Mm-hmm. We all have the professional looking studio, the professional lights. We got the fact checker again.
We got fact checker. I appreciate that.
We're stepping up our game.
Yeah.
And I think that our subscribers and listeners appreciate it because they've been watching more.
Yeah.
That's actually genuinely.
Yeah.
The last 2 episodes we put out there, we've gotten more views than we've gotten in a long time.
And that's great, but we also do need to consistently get feedback. What does everyone want to hear? What should we be covering? I like covering current events and what's going on in the boxing world because this is, according to Weekend Trav, the best month of boxing of the entire year of 2022.
It is. I stick by it. And it's only April. But April, you're going to see that Weekend Trav is not wrong. By the end of this year, we're going to come back to this episode 76. Actually, 77. No, I did it in 70. I did 75, I think.
Started talking about 75, yeah.
75. So we're going to go back to Weekend Trav. We're going to go back to episode 75 when I said, I predict the month of April overall is going to be the most exciting month of boxing all year. There's going to be blockbuster fights throughout the year. I'm not saying that.
Sure.
But I'm saying every weekend of the month of April has been awesome.
So let's talk about this past weekend. One of those crown jewels of April was Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. Heavyweight matchup. A lot going into this fight. Not a lot of build-up necessarily, Weekend Trav, but just the name Tyson Fury carries a lot of weight with it, obviously. And so
70 pounds of weight.
It's a big boy, and he's a very entertaining guy. And I felt more entertained, actually, post-fight than anything else. Mm-hmm. But let's break down this fight really quickly. Everyone knows who watches boxing. Tyson Fury did win via, was it technically a KO, or did they give it a TKO on that?
I think it was.
You know what?
That's actually.
He came up standing, so I think the ref jumped in at that point.
So I think it'd be considered a TKO.
Yeah.
Actually, they wouldn't put it down.
Either way, that was 6th round.
It goes down as a KO in the record still.
One way or another, 6th round. Tyson Fury took down Dillian Whyte. Some controversy with
TKO.
that, but we want to talk about overall what you saw in those rounds, Weekend Trav.
I saw a very competitive fight for the first couple of rounds. And what I say about competitive is I thought the rounds were very close. Neither guy literally did much. I think that the punch stats were even like 1 or 2 punch difference of landed punches in the first 2 rounds. But I didn't expect to be any different, though, because Tyson Fury is not a super active fighter. It's a heavyweight division. They always kind of start out kind of slow anyway.
Sure.
And Tyson Fury is a methodical guy. He's got a high ring IQ. So I knew that whatever he was going to do, he does more things. Like, it's the famous thing that Floyd Mayweather says. He goes, I'm playing chess and they're playing checkers. That's Tyson Fury. He's a smart, intelligent guy. He's methodical. He knows what he's doing. He puts together game plans and he executes them brilliantly. So even the first 2 rounds were competitive. I wasn't too worried. But Dillian Whyte was constantly coming forward, though. The dude, even when he was getting clocked, he was coming forward. I watched it, and in the back of my mind, way in the back, I was like, Dillian Whyte could possibly catch Tyson Fury. He's been proven that he could be knocked down. And Dillian Whyte can punch. He can.
Yeah.
He can punch. He's a big puncher. So halfway through that fight, after the second round, I was like, please don't let this be the time that happens. Because I didn't want Tyson Fury to lose. I just didn't. But I was like, don't let a guy like Dillian Whyte beat Tyson Fury. Because Dillian Whyte was like landing some big punches. Like he was getting caught and he was thrown. He missed a couple big punches. But I was like, if one of those connected, it could be night.
But if there's one thing we know from Tyson Fury, he can take and punishment and punches. Deontay Wilder put him on the canvas. So we know that he can recover from that. So I don't think there was a lot of, at least from when I was watching, not a lot of fear from that standpoint. But you just never know.
It's
you never
heavyweight
know.
division.
That's right.
You have 2 guys that are well over 200 pounds. I think Dillian Whyte was like 230, 240 or something crazy. Tyson Fury is like 260. Like anything can happen.
Sure.
Like people used to think that Tyson Fury was pillow fisted, they called it. I'm like, listen, you're 270 pounds, 200. He was 270 in some of his fights. That's why I said 270. But a guy that big that knows how to punch, I promise you, he's not pillow fisted.
Not a pillow.
This is a guy sitting on his couch with a big fat 40 and some potato chips saying that he's pillow fisted, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not any real boxing knowledgeable guy. Tyson Fury is not pillow fisted, but he also
40 still?
No, but back in the day they probably did. So I was kind of referencing.
That's a good mix of things: potato chips and 40s. Got it. Okay, keep going.
Do you ever remember in college it was something called Edward 40 hands?
No,
they duct taped 40s.
Well, yeah, I get the premise that that's the event.
Yeah.
You duct tape 40s, but here in Florida, they don't sell. I don't even. Back when I was in college, they didn't sell 40s. They did 32s. For whatever reason.
That's weird, yeah.
Like malt liquor is just like a glorified beer. It just tastes like gross beer.
So they sold 40s back in Missouri.
Yeah.
They sold deuce. They call them deuces as well, 22 ounces and 40s.
Nice.
Deuce. But yeah, I never did it actually. To be honest, I really didn't. It's not that I didn't want to.
What was your favorite malt liquor? What was your favorite 40? Was it Schlitz?
Hams?
Schlitz and
I'm
Hams?
kidding. I'm
Old
kidding.
English?
I'm kidding. You know what I did actually drink, though?
I liked Old English.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
I love PBR.
Bro, they had a quarter beer nights at this local bar.
Yeah.
A quarter. You know what? I was drunk in under $2.
Let's be honest, folks. If you're listening, I know this is the #1 rated bourbon, beers, and boxing podcast shot in Orlando, Florida, specifically Laureate Park, specifically in a boxing gym on the second floor of a boxing gym, shot on a Sunday or Monday, but today is Tuesday. In the world, I know this is the #1.
It is in the world.
But we're talking some beer. I like me some PBR. I like some Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Here's the deal too. I'll tell you this right now. I can almost drink any beer if it's ice cold.
Yeah,
I can handle at least one of almost any beer. One, at least I can do it.
Because when
ice cold, I can do it.
In college, you started getting like the natty ice.
Yep.
Ugh. You got the Milwaukee's Best. Ugh.
First
the bitter beer
I ever drank in my entire life was Milwaukee's Best.
Ugh. You got
I got really sick.
Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. I'm a frat guy. Okay, so we had a lot of cheap beer.
I was not a frat guy.
Oh, that's a small school.
But I did go to a lot of frat parties. So
small school, so everyone was kind of in a frat. But we drank some real ass juice. Okay, we digress a lot.
So back to the boxing.
Yes.
Back to Tyson Fury. He dominated the fight. Mm-hmm. I predicted it to be a 9th round knockout. I said 9th round knockout or stoppage. I for sure knew he was winning. I for sure knew this wasn't going the distance either. That's why usually if you hear me talk, usually I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. I don't predict that too often. But I was off by 3 rounds. But there's a lot of controversy swirling. And I wouldn't have been upset if they would have let Dillian Whyte fight like 2 or 3 more rounds.
You might have gotten to the 9th, got a little payout.
I bet on the 9th round.
Yeah.
I had some good buddies, your friends as well,
yeah.
Lewis. They bet on the 6th round. You got it. Good job.
Well, I'll give Papa Brian Price a little love because I was asking him what's the chances Dillian Whyte could win this thing. He's like 0. He's like, but if he was gonna win it, I'm thinking the fight's over in the 6th round. Well, he
You
was
just got
right.
the wrong guy.
He was right. The fight was over in the 6th round. It's the wrong guy.
Papa Price, wrong guy, brother.
Yeah, so for me, that's how I hedge myself. I took Tyson Fury, but I also put a little money on the 6th for Dillian White just out of respect. Obviously, that didn't pay out, but ultimately, I was entertained and I lost like $12. Big
I
deal.
really should have bet on the over-under because the over-under was like 9.5 rounds or something.
Yeah.
That's why I chose the 9th because I knew I did. The over-unders are usually pretty correct.
Yeah.
So I knew, I was like, no way this goes over 10. So I'm predicting, that's why I chose the 9th round because I thought the over-under is usually pretty close to being
Folks,
right.
we don't advocate.
ninth.
We're not going to advocate gambling. That's all really up to you and your entertainment value. I view it as entertainment, and I'm willing to spend money on entertainment. So that's the way I view gambling on sports.
It's the
but
price
there
of
were-
admission.
Yes, there were some. It's pretty lucrative prop bets on a lot of these fights. So take a look at some of that stuff, folks. Not just who's going to win, but some of the props us per round, how it's going to happen, the over/under on the rounds. It's very interesting, very enticing.
Listen, I'm not trying to convince people to gamble because, listen, that's up to your choice. Be responsible, whatever you do. Just like we don't advocate for drinking. Be responsible, whatever you do. But I am telling you right now that you're a financial advisor. Boxing and numbers is not much different than the stock market. You can choose and pick certain things by what round has Tyson Fury knocked people out in the past, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stuff that can go into that. And you could be as generic as, will Tyson Fury win or lose? And you can make money.
Yes. I think.
I'm not saying put your retirement in those things.
No.
I'm saying the numbers part of it, and like the graphs,
investment
things
selection.
like that.
I've always kind of
It's not an investment.
I've always tongue in cheek said what I do, like the investment planning situation and picking and choosing investments. Tongue in cheek. This is kind of satire. It's educated gambling, right? Because there's a lot of factors that go into play, and your strategy could be long term. So a boxing match is not that time factor isn't in there, right? So it's just a different world. But yes, you're slightly.
I would say it's
correct.
equivalent to day traders.
Okay, that's
They're
closer.
in and out.
That's a closer.
That's what I would say is equivalent,
There's
because that's
more
playing the stock
risk.
market.
There's more risk in a volatile nature to gambling on sporting events, especially boxing, especially when there's a puncher's chance in everything. Like football, it's a little easier to maintain, but you and I don't really have a good track record in football.
But anyway,
There's sure things. Okay.
Tyson Fury
Yes.
was a massive favorite. So it means even if you'd have bet him just to win, you wouldn't have won much.
No.
You wouldn't have won much.
Well,
If
I
you
guess
just bet on a straight up
it
win,
wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it was not much at all.
No.
Like, at all. Because he was a massive favorite.
Yeah.
But the point is, Tyson Fury looked phenomenal.
Yep.
He looked like Tyson Fury. He, in my opinion, people are going to roast me, and I don't really care, but I've said this on my social media. In my opinion, Tyson Fury will go down, if he never fights again, he claimed he retired, as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Sure.
One of. I didn't say he's the.
One of them.
Based on simple factors like he's 6'9", 270 pounds. You guys cannot tell me in your unemotional way that a 5'10", 212-pound Mike Tyson could beat Tyson Fury.
He would have. I had this conversation with somebody about that, and Mike Tyson, in both of their primes, Mike Tyson would have opportunities, but they would be early in the fight. The longer that fight went on, he would have a tougher and tougher time to try to get inside on Tyson Fury. He has to get inside. Tyson Fury is too lanky, and what's been surprising, you mentioned earlier in talking about it, he has power behind that, which you usually don't see with someone that's so lanky.
Yeah.
So if we're doing hypotheticals here, in prime situations, if Mike Tyson could do just a quick in there, yeah, he could do it.
It's a heavyweight division. Anything's possible.
Anything's possible, but it'll be very challenging.
Because there's multiple reasons why I don't think he could get rid of him. Because one, Tyson Fury's got a chin. Even if Tyson got him down, who's to know that Tyson Fury won't get back up? His chin is rock hard. But also, a 5'10" guy reaching up to a 6'9" guy, your power diminishes as you have to jump and leave your feet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's why I think it would be crazy to think that Mike Tyson could have beat him. But also, look back at Mike Tyson's track record. Mike Tyson struggled with guys taller than him.
Sure.
There's two guys actually, but the one guy that I think that would give Tyson Fury problems is a Lennox Lewis, because he was 6'5", 6'6", a big guy, also demolished Mike Tyson because Mike Tyson couldn't handle the height, the jab, the guys who stayed on the outside and could punch. So Mike Tyson couldn't handle those guys. Granted, Mike Tyson probably wasn't in his prime of primes when he fought Lennox Lewis. However, in my opinion, I still think Lennox Lewis would have beat Mike Tyson in his prime or not. Because Lennox doesn't have a chin. Lennox proved that he could be knocked out. He could. But Tyson just couldn't get to him because Lennox was 6'5", 6'6", has a phenomenal jab, has a phenomenal ring presence, and moves around the ring. Tyson Fury, same thing. Which brings me back to my point is the only people that I think would give Tyson Fury problems in the past would be Lennox Lewis because of his height, because of his boxing ability. He could give him problems. Also, Klitschko. The Klitschkos, even though he beat Vladimir, I think Vitaly would have gave Fury a lot of problems because of their height and their size. They were 6'5", 6'6" as well. So those are the only two guys. If you go all the way back to like the Muhammad Ali days, Muhammad Ali was like 6'1", 6'2". I think they said he was 6'2", but I don't think he was. 212 pounds.
Exactly.
6'9",
yeah.
270.
You just don't make them the same
It's
anymore.
not a fair. It's an unfair advantage.
In today's day and age, a Muhammad Ali, a Mike Tyson, they wouldn't fight in heavyweight class. They would cut weight down.
They would be able to.
Yeah.
They'd probably be cruisers.
Cruisers, yeah.
Think about even I went all the way back. Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier was 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah.
Same thing. I think Tyson Fury knocks him out. I think Tyson Fury knocks out Mike Tyson. By the way, under 6 rounds. That's my bold prediction. We'll never see it happen, obviously, but I genuinely think that he would knock out Mike Tyson inside 6 rounds. I also, Rocky Marciano, people are like, oh, Rocky Marciano would kill. I go, Rocky Marciano was probably like 190 pounds.
It's a different world.
It's a way different world.
It's different. Sports science is different. Yeah, people are built different now.
And listen, I think Rocky Marciano, probably the greatest of his era, obviously too, 49-0. You can't dispute that probably. Muhammad Ali, probably the greatest of his era. You can't dispute that. George Foreman was in that era. Joe Frazier was in that era. Ken Norton. We had a ton of, that was the golden era of heavyweights, right?
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, if Tyson Fury, not Mike, Tyson Fury was in the era of Ali, Foreman, and Frazier, he cleans that division.
He would clean it out.
He cleans that division. And don't get emotional about it, people, because
they would
if you're
drop weight.
unemotional, how does he win?
They would drop weight. That's too big of a difference. It really is, and he's too skilled for being that large.
That's
the surprising thing about him. That's what I think catches
he
everyone
moves like
off guard.
Ali.
He's so smooth for just looking like a lumbering guy. He's very smooth and he's elusive.
Dad bod on 100.
That's why I'm working on my dad bod. That's why I get this dad bod now,
Fury's
man.
dad bod on 100.
That's why I've gained the weight, because I just want to look like Tyson Fury.
I mean, listen, and like I said, this is no disrespect to any other heavyweights, because I still consider Muhammad Ali one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. I do. But
it's era versus era, though. You can't do it.
You can't. And that's why I do really hate it, even though I just did it. I hate the comparison to the olden days because multiple reasons. Sports medicine and sports science has changed exponentially.
Yeah.
That's why golfers nowadays, too. I don't think it's fair to compare them to the old guys because the technology they used woods. There's a reason why it was called a 3-wood.
Yeah.
In my bag right now, I have a 3-wood. It's not wood. It's titanium. Okay? It was wood back in the day.
Sure.
So sports medicine, sports science, all of that has changed so much that it's impossible to compare. But if you're in your right mind and you can tell me that a 6'9", 270-pound man who can punch like an Ali or a Foreman, could box like a Floyd Mayweather, could move with his footwork like a Muhammad Ali, he's got all of those, and he's super intelligent. You cannot tell me in your right mind that you genuinely think that those guys would unequivocally beat him. It's the heavyweight division, so I'm not going to rule out the fact that, like you said, one punch can change a fight. It could. Yeah. But Tyson Fury's proven that one punch can't change a fight.
A lot. Yeah, you would have to have somebody like
multiple punches.
An Ivan Drago or a Clubber Lang going in there.
Yes.
Maybe. Okay. So anyways, aftermath of the fight, your thoughts just in general. Let's close it up because we want to move on to another big fight this weekend. So let's just finish up the Tyson Fury conversation here.
Dude, listen, Tyson Fury, there's two people that I've become huge fans of over the last 2 to 3 years. It is Tyson Fury and Canelo Alvarez. I've always been a fan of B-Money, so you can't say that. I've always been a fan of B-Money. So that's beside the point.
Oh, gotcha.
But those two guys, and the reason Tyson Fury is, after the fight, he was even more entertaining than in the fight.
That's what,
This guy, watch the tape, guys. He got down into his underwear. And he was doing interviews. He was singing. We're talking about Wembley Stadium sold out, 94,000 people. After the fight, this guy's in his underwear, in his dad bod.
Yeah,
he does not have the most attractive bod.
Here's what I'm not a fan of with that. I don't want his trainer to get down to the skivvies as well.
And
he
his
does
trainer took the
every
shirt
time.
off. He didn't get into his underwear, though, I don't think.
It's Sugar, what's his name?
Sugar Hill from Kronk, which is a relative of Emmanuel Stewart, who is a Hall of Fame commentator, Hall of Fame trainer, Hall of Fame everything.
It's bad enough weekend travel when I have to get ready in the morning. I have to see myself shirtless in the mirror, let alone Tyson Fury and his
Fury's
trainer.
hairy, dad bod, like he owns it, man.
I think you just kind of expect somebody that kind of big and just that's just kind of what you're going to get, right?
Yeah. I mean,
right? Because if he's diesel and stuff, he's going to be over 300 pounds.
But you know what though? The Vladimir Klitschko's 6'6", 200 and whatever.
Still, those inches.
He looked phenomenal.
From what I've been told,
it's only 3 inches.
From what I've been told, that extra 3 inches matters.
That's what she said.
Okay,
that
so
worked.
I teed that up.
That worked.
I teed that up
You
high.
did.
I really teed that up.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
You even gave me like a tip off, like.
So listen, 1 minute. I'm going to give you 1 minute. I'm going to clock you here. 1 minute.
I need it because I'll go over. But
is Tyson Fury retiring?
That is a very good question. I think that of all people, when a guy says he's going to do something, I do believe them to an extent. But this is what I don't believe. Is multiple times I asked him specifically in the ring, are you retiring? And I never once heard him say, yes, I am retiring. I heard him say, what a way to go out. What a way to do. So what I think is going to happen is, no, he's not going to retire. I think he'll have another fight. A boxing match, not a hybrid, because Ngannou came in the ring. Did you also hear that interview?
A little bit, yep.
He also asked about Ngannou's coil, which he was talking about his penis.
That's
it happened in the interview.
I haven't heard.
He looked at him. He goes, "I bet you got a big coil on you or something like that." And he's like, "What do you mean?" And Tyson Fury pointed out this thing, and Ngannou even goes,
"Is it supposed to be?"
Ngannou didn't even answer for it.
Is it supposed to be coiled up like a spring?
I don't know what he meant by it.
Is it supposed to?
But he said it in a live interview, and I was like, even Ngannou was like, "That's like that's like off limits, like weird question."
I feel like
weird
it's more
question.
like one of those, like when you open the can, it's the snake.
It was
that comes
the
out.
weirdest thing ever that he said, though. It was so weird. I'm like, why would you say that?
He was elated. He had just won, and he just made what, $30 million or whatever.
I think it's like 31 plus. You got a $4.1 million bonus for winning. By the way,
not a bad
we should talk about that. I want to talk about that.
No, we've talked about boxing, the money discretion.
But boxing has never done the bonus for winning.
Oh yeah.
It was a $4.1 million bonus. Whoever won.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome, because boxing, when I always talk to people, they're always like, how much did you make for the fight, Travis? Yeah, how much did you make to win? I was like, no, boxing's not like that. We're guaranteed set price. Yeah. So, long story short, I do not think that's the last time we'll see Tyson Fury in a boxing ring. I do think he'll fight, because if Anthony Joshua beats Usyk, if he beats Usyk, he could. If he beats Usyk, there's no chance that Tyson Fury will not fight Anthony Joshua in England for the real big fights.
Okay. All right. So now,
he's not retiring.
Now, folks, we're going to move on to this weekend. Madison Square Garden. Big time card. Big time main event, which we've talked a little bit here, sprinkling. But because April's such a massive month, we haven't had enough time to really talk about it. But I'm talking Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. That's the main event for this card going on at Madison Square Garden. Where can the folks watch this weekend, Trav?
This is DAZN.
It's DAZN. It's not Showtime. It's DAZN.
It's a DAZN card.
DAZN. Yep. It's co-promoted, if I'm not mistaken. MVP as well as.
Yep, you're correct.
Yep. So
and MVP is Jake Paul's promotion company.
Very true. So Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano,
Eddie Hearn, which is Matchroom Boxing, DAZN.
That's going to be a big time fight. Okay. That's going to put the other ladies on notice of this is how we do it, right? It's the Montel Jordan fight. This is how we do it. Okay.
That's pretty good. Good job.
We can trap.
That was well done.
Yeah. Talk to me about this fight. It's been a long time coming for these ladies.
They once called you the songbird of our generation, by the way, and I agreed with them.
Yeah.
So this fight is, I believe, this is correct, but fact checker can get me, but I believe this is the first ever headlined women's fight at Madison Square Garden in the history of Madison Square Garden.
Good luck looking that up.
But I'm almost 99.9%. I'm going to say that because
I've
the antibacterials say 99.9, but they never say 100%. So I'm going to go 99.9 because I'm that sure that it's the first main event women's fight ever at Madison Square Garden. That's amazing.
It's pretty,
People cannot tell us that women's boxing and the promoters have not tried their best
Yeah.
to put them front and center. Because I'll tell you what, there's other fights on that card that are male fights that could be main events, and they're not. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. Men should take notes on this fight because these two are the best at that weight division, bar none. And Katie Taylor's still early in her career. Amanda Serrano is closer to retiring
Correct.
than she said, like, what, 42 something fights. And she's closer to retiring than she is to starting, like Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor's young, hungry champion. Katie Taylor can afford to lose here and be okay.
Right.
Serrano, not really. You don't rebuild after this.
Right.
You're pretty much, you might walk off into the sunset as a millionaire because Jake Paul made her a millionaire.
Made it
as
happen.
she said multiple times. Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit. MVP Promotions and Jake Paul literally has been advocating for Amanda Serrano for multiple fights and has set up this. This is the biggest fight, I think, honestly, in women's history.
This is what I love, is that typically I'm the kind of guy that likes the bad blood fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like there to be drama leading up to it. This fight, you don't need it, and there's no drama. This is purely built on skill level and what's been a long time coming for both these ladies. Obviously, Katie Taylor is a little younger in her career, but still, this is going to be a good one. If you watch these ladies' prior fights, if you watch their training regimen, what they're doing, I'm sorry, you got to be excited. This is a good fight. We've seen plenty of cupcake fights along the way, guys and girls included.
Yep.
This is no cupcake we can try.
No, this is a legit fight.
This takes the cake.
Ooh, I like it. I'm looking right now, by the way. Fact checker let me know about this. Dietrich let me know that Katie Taylor was 175-12 as an amateur.
Pretty
She's
good.
20-0 as a pro.
Pretty good.
This is funny. I gotta get that. I was 156-13 as an amateur, and I thought that was great. She killed that.
Yeah.
In the day and age when women's boxing is not that popular, for her to get that many amateur
That's a lot
fights,
of fights. Yeah.
just that many fights
Yeah.
in general, to have over 100 fights as a women's amateur is phenomenal.
Katie Taylor throws bombs. This girl can punch, and I'm not saying just one punch.
So does Serrano.
Serrano as well. This is going to be a solid matchup between the two. It's hard to even call what's what. I mean, I just think I'm just excited to see how it just goes down in the ring, right? And hopefully it's not tentative between the two of them. Hopefully they just want to get into their game plan early. But I think the folks watching this at home or live at Madison Square Garden should be pretty excited. It's a big moment necessary for women's boxing in general.
Yeah.
But overall, it's going to be a good fight. That's what you want.
You know what? And I'm glad you said it like that, too, because, listen, yes, I hate the identity that we pull with women, men, race, all that bullcrap. I hate that. This is actually going to be a great boxing match.
No pronouns
They just
here,
happen
folks.
to be women.
Yeah.
But this is a phenomenal boxing match. I hate how we separate things by sex and race. This actually is a great boxing match. I can't wait to see this boxing match.
And you know who will be paying big attention to this fight? And she's mentioned it. She mentioned it after she won a couple weekends ago. Michaela Mayer.
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Let's see it.
but after watching the
She's
after
not
this
ready.
weekend's over, I don't think she's ready
She's
for
not
either
ready.
of these.
No, she's not. And you know what? I'm a big fan of Michaela Mayer as well because she's got charisma.
And she's pretty.
She's got character. And she's kind of pretty. We're not going to lie. She's kind of pretty, for sure. But this is funny. The reason why most people don't like women's boxing, because you don't see as many knockouts, right? I'm just going to let you know that Amanda Serrano has a 68.18% knockout ratio.
Yeah.
She's 42-1-1 with 30 knockouts.
Yeah.
So Katie Taylor doesn't have as many knockouts as her. Not even close, actually. But I think you're going to see a barn burner of a fight.
Katie Taylor is aggressive. I mean, she is a pit bull. So this is going to be. I don't
It's
think
gonna be great.
This isn't going to the distance. I
It's
want to
smakeable.
think.
It's smakeable. I keep saying that because that's off of Tropical Thunder when they make up a game at the very end and they try to get everybody excited about it and they just call it something like mega. You say mega anything and people get excited.
Yeah.
This is a mega fight. Everybody's like, oh, wow, that's amazing. If you say, oh, this is a fight, you say mega fight, they're excited.
I am excited. I'm excited for this, irregardless of your colloquialisms.
I got dizzy. That was so big.
I'm already dizzy. So, weekend trap.
Huge fight.
I don't think we're going to do prediction here yet.
I'll do a single prediction video.
But I think we need to do the single video, maybe a short on YouTube. A short video.
That's not what she said, but we'll do a short.
No, I hope it's not what she said. But I mean, it just depends on your audience, right?
Listen, this is a great fight, man. I know they keep hammering that, and it's fair. And I think everybody, honestly, if you've been watching our show, what episode is this? 77?
77.
If you've been watching us, the previous 76 episodes, you will see that we have not been very, we've not really highlighted women's sports. But let me finish it.
Okay.
We have not been really big fans of it because it really hasn't been that we haven't seen that type of blockbuster fight put together. So I hope what I'm trying to say is I hope everybody realizes that when we see something that deserves the attention, we are more than happy to give it. And this is one of the fights that deserves the attention.
Here's what I'll say as a historian of the chronicles of our episodes.
Excuse me.
We have been an advocate of women's combat sports, okay?
Okay.
When the matchups make sense and it's exciting, we think
Agreed.
it's great overall for the sport of boxing or MMA, whatever it might be, that we advocate the best matchup. Now, one of us at this table has been extremely critical about other women's sports. Notice I held the rabbit ears
B Money
for women's sports.
And if you're listening to us on Spotify, B Money is doing air quotes
On the word sports.
on the word sports.
Because women is a real word, but when you tie the two together, there's some questionable areas. But combat sports is a lot different. Tennis, a lot different. And solo sports, a lot different. Women's
individual sports.
Women's soccer is actually very entertaining as well. It's a very competitive. But like WNBA and all this stuff, come on.
Yeah, B Money has openly talked about that.
I mean, it literally takes for someone to get excited about swimming to have a man in there.
I mean, I want to mention a tweet just because you brought that up that this is something that should not be debatable. Okay, this is something that I don't know. I have an issue
People need to
about.
understand that I'll let you finish, but people have to understand the satirical nature of the things I say. Okay, you do understand that I'm joking a lot, right?
We're Babylon B-esque.
Yeah, esque.
Okay,
esque. Just not
because
as many,
that guy's phenomenal. We're not
followers.
them. We're not even close.
Yeah.
But I retweeted this.
Yep.
This tweet. It said, "Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina."
Mm-hmm. Billy Madison.
Never in my life did I think that would ever be an issue.
Here's what's pathetic, Weekend Trav, is that they couldn't put that in a movie nowadays.
And that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Because boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. I was taught that in biology.
If you think you're a girl. If you don't agree with the reference of the noun boy or girl, blah, blah, blah. What kind of world do we live in? Crazy. Anyways, let's go back to the women's matchup this weekend. Big time fight. We're excited about it. I think everyone should really tune in to that pay-per-view. There's other stuff on that card.
Uh-huh.
Let's get to that. I'm going to give you here a minute or two to talk about. It's Vargas is on that card, correct?
And you know what? I actually want to let the listeners know that I actually appreciate when B Money puts me on a timer because if you've been watching, I could talk about boxing all freaking day. So I need B Money, aka producer, to be put on a timer.
Just like I could talk about the WNBA all day long, Weekend Draft,
and women's swimming. I know you could.
But I don't want someone to come to the studio here and throw paint on the door or picket, have the signs up.
Our address is not published, right?
If I have all these WNBA players out here picketing saying women don't belong in the kitchen and stuff like that, I can't handle that.
I couldn't either. I would have to. You know what? That ever happened though? I would walk outside and I would record it and put it on our Instagram page. Which, by the way, is weighing in with Travis Harmon on Instagram. Yeah. Look us up, follow us, give us a subscribe. Okay.
Listen, they don't belong in the kitchen. Sometimes it's helpful. I mean, it's helpful. I didn't say belonged, but it's helpful.
You said they don't belong, so that's
it's helpful to have a woman's touch in there.
I agree, but you know what? If my wife Irina was on here
and cleaning and doing laundry,
Irina would actually tell you that
folding laundry.
My place is not in the kitchen, and hers is open.
She's a great chef.
I'm not kidding. Like listen, friends, come over here. I'm not joking you right now. I literally Madison Keys, one of our good friends. Yep. Comes to our house, helps us like organize stuff. I literally Irina wouldn't answer her phone. I couldn't find this little stupid tool in our kitchen, right? And Irina wouldn't reply. I'm like, I need it now. I text Maddie. I go, Maddie, do you know where this is at?
Junk drawer.
And she did. She was like, it's the second drawer to the right of the stove, Travis. That's where it's at. Because I know my place in our house.
Yeah.
My place is not the kitchen. And I promise you, I'm okay admitting that. And Irina is 100% okay with telling Travis, get out of the kitchen. I will serve you. I will take care of the food. All that.
Man.
And I'm okay with that because I don't know my way around the kitchen. And she does. And a lot of people be like, oh, my God. The feminists will be like, oh, my God, that's so terrible. But you know what? Listen, we know our place in our relationships. We do.
That's important.
And I own that role, and I don't care.
That's great.
It makes her happy.
Listen,
it makes me happy.
Some dudes need to be the cake boy, and they need to be the ones baking, and sometimes they don't need to be.
Agreed.
Cake boy, that's a reference to Clueless, Alicia Silverstone, that's a movie.
I know that movie, okay?
Yeah.
As if.
So, I don't think he's going to like this, but segue, Jesse Vargas. Let's talk about that. 1 minute.
Do it. Yes.
Talk to me about this fight here, maybe a minute or two.
Jesse Vargas is fighting Liam Smith. The reason why this fight deserves a lot of talk about is because Jesse Vargas is running for Congress, but he backed away from it for this fight because he wanted to give this 100% of his thing. But he's still going to run in Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada is where he's from. So it's a great fight because he's fighting Liam Smith. Liam Smith is a really good fighter, and I'm looking at it right now. I believe Liam Smith fought. I don't want to say it and be way off. And I'm not way off. Good. It was what I thought. Liam Smith fought Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a great fight. All right. So Liam Smith can fight. All right. Liam Smith is 30 fights, 30 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. It's a phenomenal fight. All right. Jesse Vargas is 29, 3 wins, 2 draws. Jesse Vargas has fought the best of the best. Jesse Vargas has fought Manny Pacquiao. Jesse Vargas has fought Adrian Broner. I can't believe I just put Adrian Broner up there with the best of the best. I apologize for that. But he's fought a lot of guys that people know. That's why I said it. Okay. So Jesse Vargas, I am rooting for Jesse Vargas because, one, I fought Jesse Vargas in the pros. Mm-hmm. He is a phenomenal talent. Mm-hmm. He is a great guy. And he just so happens to be a conservative. Jesse Vargas, a Hispanic conservative. What?
There's a lot of those. So I think,
I love this kid. But he's phenomenal.
As this term wears on, there's more and more people that will subscribe to a lot of conservative ideals. I just had this conversation last night, actually, with my spouse, and I hate, and I know you're with me on this, when everyone when it's basically like you have to believe all these things to be considered conservative. You have to believe all these things to be a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
Why? Like, there's certain things I believe, and there's certain things I believe centrist. I mean, and there's probably 1 or 2 things that I actually agree with the left. That's really the way it's supposed to be. Yep. It's not supposed to be all or none on one side, but that's the way our world has become, and that's the way the media has forced us into these 2 different camps, and that's inaccurate. Divide and conquer, and this is what we're doing. We're feeding off of each other. So, in this day and age, it's nice to see, speaking as a Hispanic conservative, that's right, that has some blended ideals into maybe the left, maybe the center. It's nice to see someone else looking to run locally in Nevada. That's fantastic, and especially coming from the professional sports field and boxing. That's kind of it's checking off a lot of boxes for this show weekend, Trav. I like it. I
mean, that's why. Listen, there's a whole big thing going on right now about Elon Musk buying Twitter. Everybody's like melting down. I've even seen so much to say that Elon Musk is white privilege. That's why he's buying Twitter. I've seen that on The View and the crazy, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Here's the deal. I am for, and I've said this openly, and I still am for this. I am for people to literally, whatever happened, B-Money, to people disagreeing civilly. Everybody's opinion deserves to be heard. I literally, people private message me on Facebook all the time and tell me, like, Travis, why do you talk to so many, like, liberal people? I'm like, because they deserve to be heard. Right. I don't think they deserve to be silenced.
Right.
Do I agree with them? Absolutely not.
Not everyone is 100% right.
No, and I'm not either. Correct. You deserve to be heard. We're talking about, this is why America is so difficult and people don't realize it. We are 350 million people. That's what's on record. You know, there's probably a lot of people that are undocumented, which is true. We know this. But we're a country, we're a melting pot. We're not all Americans here. We have so many people from all over the world because of the whole American dream. So all of those people deserve to be heard. They do. All of us. Everybody does. But whatever happened to disagreeing with people and not hating them? I can disagree with... I literally, believe it or not, I have a lot of liberal friends that I disagree with politically. But guess what? I'm still friends with them. Like, I don't hate them.
Yeah.
Like, I think at the end of the day, whatever happened to... We all want the same thing, but we all just have different ways of getting there.
Correct.
And that's where I think that Elon Musk supposedly bought Twitter. He bought Twitter, but supposedly he's buying it because he wants more open and free speech.
So I've been a big Elon Musk fan for quite a while now. But I was explaining him to somebody recently, and especially in light of the Twitter news and the acquisition starting the process of going through. And I was describing all the things he's involved in, and slowly but surely, I just realized I was describing like the origin story of an evil villain, like Lex Luthor from the Superman comics. Listen, this guy
got some crazy views.
This guy is brilliant. But let me list out the companies that basically he's the head of. So obviously Twitter that's going to be the new
$44 billion.
So that covers the quickest version of global communications ever. Okay, so he's going to be in charge of that. His Starlink program, which is trying to connect the whole world globally on Wi-Fi, so he's in charge of that.
Which, by the way, he donated to Ukraine, so they have Wi-Fi there, by the way. So, but go ahead.
But controls that.
Yep.
The Boring Company, which is drilling holes underneath cities and supposedly for subway purposes and what. So he got that. Okay. You have the Optimus Project, which is creating AI, artificial intelligent robots.
He's a big fan
actual
of that.
robots.
He's actually a big fan of that. Yep.
Neuralink, which is implanting chips in head to help with neurological disorders and fix things. Basically creating cyborgs.
It's very AI.
What else am I forgetting? Oh, SpaceX. He has the monopoly on sending junk into space and categorizing and
sending life to space
and basically dominating from above. This guy is slowly. What's next? Real estate. He's gonna buy everything. It's kind of scary, but I'm a big fan. Elon, I'm a big fan.
He doesn't even have to own stuff.
No.
He goes to space, and who owns space? He's going to put his flag down and
He already has.
He's not going to buy it. He already
had a Tesla floating around in space. So,
exactly.
So when I described all these business models, I'm like, oh man, this guy, and he's the most popular person on the planet now. Wow. I'm a big fan of Elon. Keep me on the good side. I'm a big fan. So we have digressed a lot weekend, Trav.
Yeah. But you know what? It was Jesse Vargas is fighting Liam Smith.
Yes.
And it's a great fight.
Good fight.
It was a great weekend. We have to throw in another fight that's happening at night as well. Shakir Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. Which, by the way, though, is a fight that probably should not take place on the same night as these fights because it's a phenomenal fight.
April only has so many weekends.
April 30th. This is also why you've noticed that I think that April is going to be the greatest month of boxing in 2022.
So here's what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen. As we get closer to the weekend, we're going to throw out a prediction video, maybe a couple, with regard to these three big fights.
I feel like you should do a video, too, solely on your own.
Oh, really? That's because he doesn't want to do it.
No, I'm going to do one, too. I think we should do two. I'm saying I'll do one, you do one. I think people have already figured out that B-Money has got predictions right.
But did they?
He's not clueless. He knows what he's talking about.
But did they figure out that I dubbed over Dillian White's name?
I don't know. Do you guys want to know what was actually said in that one? I did say Dillian White later. I didn't even notice. And my tens of hundreds of views, nobody said a comment about that. Did they not realize that was not my voice?
Hey,
did you guys not realize that?
It was the sweet, soulful, buttery sound of me saying Dillian White. Anyways, that was pretty funny.
I have to go every episode for a while now and say this because I haven't said it yet. It is April 26th, a Tuesday. And the Josh Taylor Catterall fight was not a robbery. It was not. Okay, sorry.
No one even remembers who those two guys are.
But
so, unless you're in the UK.
I mean, some of them probably do.
Some of them probably do. All right, so weekend travel. We're going to talk about that
Yes, sir.
as the week gets closer to Saturday. We'll throw out some prediction videos on Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, on Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez, as well as
that fight is on ESPN Plus. So if you want to tune into that, you can. Also, the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano is on DAZN, which is a great boxing network. If you guys subscribe to that, I highly recommend it. They have great fights. You have guys like Anthony Joshua on there. Canelo is also, I believe, his next fight is fighting Bivol on DAZN. He signed a contract with DAZN, then he went freestyle, so now he can go wherever. But DAZN has been smart, and they've been picking a lot of his fights up.
We'll take a look at the lines as well for some of these fights and maybe give a little thought on that. But weekend travel. I'm going to tie this thing up because we were starting to run a little long, and I also don't want to start getting too much politics.
I heard that you like to tie things up, but go ahead.
Who'd you talk to? Who are you talking?
I clearly, that is my Babylon Bee satire. Right
Gotcha.
there.
So before I do,
happen.
we are fulfilling what we mentioned last week, which is we're starting to drink down some of these bottles that we've had.
We're like 3
sitting
of those.
there. We have a lot of Quarter Horse. I like Quarter Horse. I think you have a lot of the bottles because I've brought them to you.
I do. They're yours.
Yeah. So this is
just left here.
Quarter Horse Reserve. I enjoy it, and we have a rating on it somewhere in one of the prior episodes. I enjoy that one. You are drinking what?
So I'm drinking Woodford Reserve Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, Distiller's Select. But if you look, the bottle, I know if you're on Spotify, you can't
a baby
see it.
bottle.
This is a baby. This is a mini me.
Yep.
You want to know why? Because I have a quick story for that. I was flying home from Atlanta, Georgia, and I had the baby with me.
You should have told everyone you're coming home from Rome.
Well, I was, but Rome doesn't have an airport. So
yeah, but people think, oh, wow.
I was in Rome, Georgia. But so we were flying home. My wife did commentating for ESPN, the ACC Championships. Check her out. But flying home, long story short, people are going to judge me, but don't, because there's a long story. But I was in first class. My wife wasn't. Okay? It's a long story, but it was because
I didn't even know
her network... It doesn't matter. Here's the story: is that she was not there and she couldn't get into first class at that point. So it wasn't my fault. It wasn't her fault. It's just bad timing. Regardless,
why couldn't you switch seats?
I end up, they're pretty strict about that stuff. And Irina, all she said was, she goes, "You take the baby." So I was like, "Okay, perfect. I'll take our 5 month and a half baby, 5 month and a half."
That's a pretty good
baby.
trade-off, actually.
So I did. I
That's
took
a
her the
pretty
whole
good
trip.
trade-off.
All right, I took her the whole trip.
That's a good
was
trade-off.
the best trip of my life because I bonded with my little daughter.
So
this was the most time I've ever spent.
That's literally a 1 hour flight.
Yeah, it was 1 hour home, but it was like 1 hour and 20 there, though. I don't know why. Headwind or something. But whatever. Anyway, long story short, on the way home, I was like, I'm in first class. Like, I'm going to get some bourbon. Like, why? I got nothing on the way there because I was so worried about the baby. I didn't want to upset. And she ended up being a champ and was awesome. Yeah. But on the way home, I looked at the guy before we landed because, by the way, our flight was 11:35. So it means literally at noon, I was like, hey, I need some bourbon. Because you really...
Who cares?
Because usually before noon, a lot of people don't serve you.
I've been on a 7:30 a.m. flight. I'm like, hey, what's the beer list? I need a beer.
So that's awesome. I didn't even know that.
Hell yeah.
But regardless, I looked at the guy. I was like, hey, what kind of bourbon you got? He was like, we got Jack and Woodford Reserve. I go, I'll take Jack. And he goes, all right, do you want anything to drink with it? I go, no, I'll take some Jack. He goes, you don't want a mixer? I go, no. He goes, do you want a cup? I go, no. And he laughed because I had a 5-month-old baby in my hands. And he didn't realize that...
You're not nursing.
Yeah,
who cares?
He didn't realize that I didn't drink it on the plane. I brought it for our podcast.
Sure.
This is what I've been drinking is Woodford Reserve.
He's put two in the cup. There's 2 of them.
There's 2. Yeah, by the way, there's 2. The other bottle's back here.
Okay.
There's been 2.
So that's what we're drinking. We're wrapping this thing up, but I think there's a few of them to drink. Anyways.
There is.
Am I done?
I mean, are you done?
I've never been asked that ever. Okay, because it's pretty apparent.
I have no comment to that because I have a funny story about that, and I don't need to talk about it publicly.
Listen, I'm very open of my personal shame. I'm just kidding.
This wouldn't be shame. This is actually probably a bragging moment, but I'm not going to do it.
Well, yeah, because you won the race.
No,
you were the first one to finish.
No, it's the opposite of that. But it doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, let's not talk about that. Right after you talk about holding your baby in first class.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm trying.
That means, ladies and gentlemen, this is the entertainment aspect of the show, but I'm stopping it, and this is the way I'm stopping it.
All the fun.
This is how I'm ruining the fun. That there is Weekend Trav.
That there is B Money, aka producer, aka the No Fun Man.
Okay, I've been called worse.
But he's got great hair.
Thanks. God bless.